My beloved child, come close to me with the wound you have been trying to hide. Do not cover it with forced smiles, busy hands, or words that say, "I am fine," when your soul is still trembling. I know the places where life has pressed too hard upon you. I know the nights when you lay awake wondering why the pain had not ended. I know the tears you wiped away before anyone could see them. I know the ache that followed you into prayer, into work, into silence, into rooms full of people where you still felt alone. Yet I tell you now with tenderness, this wound is not the end of your story. Listen to my voice, because pain has spoken to you for too long. Pain told you that you were finished. Pain told you that the wound would always define you. Pain told you that the failure, the betrayal, the sickness, the poverty, the depression, the rejection, or the loss had written the final sentence over your life. But pain is not your creator. Pain is not your savior. Pain is not your father. I am your father, and I still hold the pen of mercy over your story. What wounded you may have changed you, but it has not conquered my purpose for you. Hear the word I once spoke into weakness. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Let that promise rest upon the place where you feel most broken. I did not say my power is made perfect in your performance, your perfection, your control, or your ability to never fall. I said my power is made perfect in weakness. The very place you are ashamed of can become the place where my strength is revealed. The wound you wish no one knew about can become the ground where grace rises with a testimony no darkness can silence. Perhaps you have asked me why I allowed you to walk through such pain. You may have wondered why the road became so heavy, why people left, why help came late, why healing seemed slow, why prayers felt unanswered, why the burden touched the parts of you that were already fragile. My child, I will not answer every mystery in one breath, but I will give you this truth. I have not abandoned you in the middle of what you do not understand. I am not absent from the valley. I am not powerless before the wound. I am working even now to turn what tried to destroy you into a witness of my mercy. There are scars you carry that no one can see. Some were made by words spoken in cruelty. Some were made by silence when you needed comfort. Some were made by doors that closed without explanation. Some were made by dreams that collapsed in your hands. Some were made by your own choices, by sins you regret, by moments you wish you could return to and change. Yet even here, my grace is not finished. I can touch the scar without despising it. I can heal the memory without erasing the lesson. I can take what shame has used against you and transform it into humility, wisdom, compassion, and courage. Do not believe that a testimony only belongs to those who never broke. A testimony is not the story of a perfect life untouched by sorrow. A testimony is the song of a soul that was wounded, yet carried, crushed, yet not abandoned, afraid, yet held, sinful, yet forgiven, weak, yet strengthened by my grace. The world may admire strength that never admits weakness, but heaven honors the child who brings weakness into my hands and lets me breathe life into it. Your testimony will not be born from pretending you were never hurt. It will be born from discovering that my love was with you even there. Maybe you feel too broken to become a witness of hope. You look at your life and see unfinished healing, unanswered questions, tired faith, and a heart that still trembles when old memories return. But I see more than you see. I see the strength being formed beneath your tears. I see compassion growing in the soil of suffering. I see wisdom rising from the ashes of mistakes. I see a future moment when another wounded soul will hear what I did in you and whisper, if God did not abandon them, perhaps He has not abandoned me either. Gently, I am teaching you that your weakness is not a wall against my grace. It can become a doorway. When you stop pretending to be whole, I can begin to heal what is truly broken. When you stop hiding in shame, I can cover you with mercy. When you stop measuring your worth by what happened to you, I can remind you who you are in me. When you stop calling yourself ruined, I can show you what redemption looks like. I do not need untouched material to create something beautiful. I know how to rebuild with broken pieces surrendered in trust. Look at the wound again, but this time do not look at it alone. Look at it with me beside you. That betrayal did not have the final word. That sickness did not erase your value. That poverty did not remove your dignity. That depression did not make your life meaningless. That failure did not cancel my mercy. That rejection did not prove you were unlovable. That dark season did not bury my light forever. I was there, and I am here now, turning sorrow into depth, pain into tenderness, weakness into dependence, and dependence into strength. There is a kind of strength that cannot be learned in comfort alone. It is not the hard strength of a heart that refuses to feel. It is not pride dressed as courage. It is not the coldness that says, I need no one. The strength I am forming in you is gentle, holy, and rooted in grace. It can cry and still trust. It can remember and still forgive. It can feel fear and still take one step. It can admit weakness and still rise. This strength does not come from denying pain. It comes from letting my grace meet you inside pain until pain no longer rules you. At times, you thought your tears were proof that you were failing. You thought your trembling meant you had no faith. You thought your exhaustion meant I was disappointed in you. My child, tears can be the beginning of honesty. Trembling can be the place where you learn to hold my hand. Exhaustion can become the moment you finally stop trying to be your own savior. I am not offended by your need. I am not ashamed to be near the wounded places. I am the Father who bends low, lifts gently, and stays until the child can breathe again. Your testimony will not come from the wound alone, but from what I do with the wound when you give it to me. Pain by itself can make a soul bitter. Pain surrendered to me can become compassion. Failure by itself can make a soul hide. Failure brought into my mercy can become wisdom. Loss by itself can make a soul afraid to love. Loss placed in my hands can become tenderness toward others who grieve. Shame by itself can silence you. Shame washed by grace can become a voice that tells the broken. There is still mercy for you. Do not rush the process I am doing in you. A testimony is not always formed overnight. Sometimes it is shaped in long seasons of quiet healing, repeated surrender, honest prayer, and small steps of obedience. Sometimes the miracle begins before you can feel it. Sometimes the root grows before the fruit appears. Sometimes the testimony is being written in the very days when you think nothing is happening. Trust me in the hidden work. I know how to prepare the soul before I reveal the story. Even now, I am separating your pain from your identity. You were hurt, but you are not merely the hurt one. You were betrayed, but you are not betrayal. You were poor, but you are not worthlessness. You were sick, but you are not useless. You sinned, but you are not beyond mercy. You were rejected, but you are not rejected by me. I am calling you by a truer name, beloved, forgiven, held, restored, chosen, and strengthened by grace. Let my voice rename what sorrow mislabeled. There may be people who saw only your fall and never saw your fight. They saw the outside and judged the whole story. They saw your weakness and did not know the nights you survived. They saw your silence and did not know the prayers buried beneath it. They saw your tears and did not know how much courage it took not to give up. My child, I saw everything. I saw the battles no one applauded. I saw the strength hidden inside your trembling. I saw the faith that remained like a small flame when everything around you felt dark. One day, the very place where you once felt ashamed may become the place where another person receives courage. not because you will glorify the pain, but because you will glorify my grace, not because you will boast in suffering, but because you will testify that suffering did not defeat my love, not because you will display your wound for attention, but because, at the right time, with wisdom and humility, you will show that my mercy can enter even the deepest brokenness and bring life again. For now, let me begin with your heart. Bring me the wound without pretending it is smaller than it is. Bring me the memory without hiding the anger, grief, or confusion attached to it. Bring me the weakness you have judged harshly. Bring me the failure that still makes you lower your eyes. Bring me the fear that says you will never be whole. I am not asking you to transform your pain by your own strength. I am asking you to place it in my hands, where grace can begin its quiet work. Let this prayer rise from the deepest place in you. Father, I give you the pain that I cannot turn into anything good by myself. I give you the wound that still speaks, the memory that still hurts, the shame that still follows me, and the weakness I have tried to hide. Let your grace be enough for me. Let your power be made perfect in my weakness. Heal what is broken, strengthen what is fragile, and turn my pain into a testimony that brings glory to your mercy. Stay with that prayer for a moment. My child, do not hurry past it. Let every sentence open a door inside you. When you say, I give you the pain, you stop carrying it as an orphan. When you say, let your grace be enough, you invite my strength into the place where yours has ended. When you ask me to turn your pain into testimony, you are choosing to believe that the wound does not have the final word. This is the beginning of transformation. My beloved child, I am not finished with the places that look ruined. I am not afraid of the broken chapters. I am not limited by what people did, what you lost, what you suffered, or how long you have been hurting. I am the Redeemer. I can take the valley and make it a place of encounter. I can take the tears and make them seeds of compassion. I can take the weakness and reveal strength no one expected. I can take the pain and, in my time, make it speak of my faithfulness. So do not bury your hope with your wound. Do not conclude that the pain is all your life will ever become. Do not let shame silence the song I am still writing in you. What you are living now may feel like breaking, but in my hands, it can become forming. What feels like an ending can become the beginning of a testimony. What feels like weakness can become the place where my power rests. Come closer, my child. Let me touch the wound. Let me breathe upon the ashes. Let me show you that my grace is sufficient and that I am already turning your pain into strength. My beloved child, I saw every tear you thought was wasted. I saw the tears that fell when no one checked on you, the tears you wiped away before entering a room, the tears that came quietly in the night when your heart could no longer hold the weight of the day. You thought they disappeared into silence, but not one of them was lost before me. The world may not have counted them. People may not have noticed them. Even you may have tried to forget them. But I saw them, and I held the meaning of each one in my mercy. There were tears that came from betrayal. Someone you trusted may have wounded you with words, absence, dishonesty, or abandonment. You opened your heart, and instead of tenderness, you received pain. You may have asked yourself why you were not enough, why love changed, why loyalty failed, why the person who once felt safe became the source of your sorrow. My child, those tears were not foolish. They were not weakness. They were the cry of a heart that was created for faithful love and was hurt by what love was never meant to become. Some tears came from poverty and lack. You looked at your needs and did not know how they would be met. You carried the pressure of bills, food, shelter, family, work, and uncertainty. You smiled in public, but inside you felt the humiliation of not having enough. You wondered if anyone understood the fear of counting every little thing, the exhaustion of starting each day with practical worries, The quiet shame that lack tries to place on the soul. I saw those tears too. They were not invisible. They rose before me from a heart trying to survive with dignity. Other tears were born from illness and weakness. Your body hurt. Your energy disappeared. Your mind became tired of hoping for improvement, and your prayers sometimes felt like they were traveling through a thick cloud. You may have cried because you missed who you used to be, because simple things became difficult, because pain made time feel slow, because fear entered when you thought about the future. I did not look away from that suffering. I was near in the room, near in the waiting, near in the exhaustion, near in the quiet fear that no one else could fully understand. Many tears came from loneliness. You were surrounded by people, yet your heart still felt unknown. You answered messages, completed tasks, smiled at conversations, and continued your routine. But deep inside, there was a place no one seemed to reach. You may have wondered if anyone would notice if you were truly falling apart. You may have felt like your pain was too heavy for others, so you kept it hidden. My child, loneliness told you that you were unseen, but loneliness was lying. I saw you completely. At times, depression made your tears feel endless. They did not always come with dramatic sobbing. Sometimes they came as numbness, as heaviness, as a quiet emptiness that made the day feel gray. You may have looked at your life and felt no strength to move, no desire to speak, no courage to plan, no joy in things that once comforted you. I do not condemn you for that battle. I do not call you faithless because the light felt far away. I saw how hard it was to keep breathing, and I honored the courage hidden in your survival. There were tears of failure that you kept secret. You remembered the choice you regretted, the opportunity you missed, the person you disappointed, the promise you broke, the sin that wounded your peace. Shame stood beside you and said, "You should have known better. You should have been stronger. You should never have fallen." But I did not join shame against you. I saw the sorrow beneath your regret, and I called you not into hiding, but into mercy. Tears of repentance are not wasted when they lead the soul back to my heart. Do not believe that your hidden suffering had no value because no one applauded your endurance. Heaven saw the day you kept going when everything inside you wanted to stop. Heaven saw the night you whispered my name with almost no strength left. Heaven saw the moment you chose not to answer cruelty with cruelty. Heaven saw the morning you got up even though your soul felt heavy. Heaven saw the prayer you prayed with tears instead of words. What the world overlooked, I received. Pain may have told you that your tears were useless because nothing changed immediately. You cried, but the door stayed closed. You prayed, but the sickness remained. You hoped, but the person did not return. You waited, but the answer did not appear. My child, do not measure the meaning of your tears only by how quickly circumstances moved. Some tears watered seeds you could not yet see. Some tears softened ground that had become hard from years of disappointment. Some tears became the beginning of honesty, surrender, healing, and testimony. I have seen tears that came from loving people who could not love you back in the way you needed. You cared, prayed, waited, forgave, and gave pieces of your heart, yet still felt empty. You may have wondered whether your love was wasted, but love offered sincerely is not wasted before me, even when it is misunderstood by people. I can teach you how to love with wisdom, how to release without hatred, how to forgive without becoming unsafe, and how to let your heart remain tender without surrendering it to those who keep breaking it. The tears you cried in silence were never meaningless to me. They showed the depth of what you carried. They revealed the places that needed comfort. They opened hidden rooms where my healing could begin. I did not need you to explain them perfectly. A tear can be a prayer when the soul is too tired to speak. A tear can be a confession when words feel impossible. A tear can be a surrender when the heart finally stops pretending it is not broken. Perhaps you have felt embarrassed by how often you cried. You may have called yourself weak, too sensitive, too emotional, too fragile. But I do not despise a tender heart. The world may praise hardness because hardness looks strong from a distance, but I know that a heart still able to feel has not been completely conquered by pain. I can strengthen tenderness without destroying it. I can make you wise without making you cold. I can heal you without turning your heart into stone. There are tears that fell because you felt forgotten by me. You asked, "Father, where are you?" You wondered why help seemed delayed, why the burden remained, why the road became so long. Bring even those tears to me. I am not offended by the cry of a child who suffers. I can receive your questions without withdrawing my love. I can hold your disappointment without punishing you for honesty. I am not fragile before your pain. I am faithful within it. My child, the tears you thought were wasted are becoming part of the testimony I am forming. One day, you will speak with compassion because you know what it means to ache. You will comfort someone else not with empty phrases, but with a heart that has survived the valley. You will recognize pain in another person's eyes because you have known it in your own. Your tears will teach you tenderness. Your sorrow will teach you patience. Your survival will become a sign that my mercy can hold a soul even in the deepest night. Not all testimonies begin with victory. Some begin with weeping. Some begin with a person sitting alone, asking whether life can ever be different. Some begin with trembling hands, unpaid bills, medical fear, broken trust, and prayers that sound more like sighs than songs. Do not despise the beginning of your testimony because it looks like weakness. A seed begins in darkness. A river begins with small springs. A dawn begins while the sky is still mostly night. What looks small to you may already be sacred in my hands. I saw the tears you cried over what you lost, the dream that faded, the relationship that changed, the season that ended, the opportunity that passed, the version of yourself you miss. Loss can make the heart feel like an empty house where old voices still echo. I walked with you through that emptiness. I did not mock the grief. I did not rush the mourning. I knew that something precious had left your hands, and I stayed near while you learned how to breathe without it. I also saw the tears you cried for others, the child you worried about, the parent who suffered, the friend who drifted away, the person trapped in darkness, the family member whose choices broke your heart. You carried people in prayer when you could not carry them in your hands. You cried because love made you vulnerable. Those tears were not wasted either. I received them as intercession, as compassion, as the ache of a heart that still cares in a world where many hearts have grown numb. Now I ask you to let me gather what you have been trying to dismiss. Do not say, "It was nothing," when your soul was breaking. Do not say, "It does not matter," when the wound still aches. Do not say, "I should be over it," when healing still needs tenderness. Bring the tears to me, not as shameful evidence of weakness, but as sacred evidence that your heart has been longing for restoration. I will not waste what you entrust to me. When your testimony is born, it will not deny the tears. It will reveal what my mercy did with them. You will not have to pretend the pain was easy. You will not have to act as if betrayal did not cut. Illness did not frighten. Poverty did not press. Depression did not darken. Loneliness did not ache. Or failure did not humble you. A true testimony does not erase the valley. It shows that I was present there, working, carrying, teaching, healing, and preparing a witness stronger than the wound. Let this prayer rise gently from your heart. Father, you saw every tear I thought was wasted. You saw the nights I cried alone, the pain I could not explain, the burdens no one noticed, and the wounds I tried to hide. Gather my tears into your mercy. Heal what caused them. Use them to soften my heart, strengthen my faith, and prepare a testimony that points to your goodness. Do not let sorrow be wasted in me. Let it become a place where your grace is revealed. Remain in that prayer for a moment. Let it comfort the part of you that felt unseen. Let it speak to the child inside you who cried without being held. Let it reach the memory of the night when you thought no one cared. I cared. I was there. I saw the trembling, the silence, the exhaustion, the prayer that had no words. You were never as alone as pain told you. My love was present, even when your feelings could not recognize it. My beloved child, your tears are not the end of the story. They are not proof that you are defeated. They are not signs that your faith is dead. They are not stains I hold against you. In my hands, tears can become seeds. In my mercy, grief can become depth. In my grace, sorrow can become compassion. In my timing, the pain you thought was wasted can become a testimony that helps another wounded soul believe again. So do not despise the tears that have fallen. Do not hide them from me. Do not let shame dry them with cruelty before mercy has touched them. Bring them into my presence, and trust that I know how to redeem even what felt meaningless. I saw every tear, my child. I remember what the world forgot. I honor what others overlooked, and I am already turning the hidden sorrow of your life into a witness of my faithful love. My beloved child, what broke you will not be the final word over your life. The wound may have been deep. The loss may have felt unbearable. The betrayal may have shaken the ground beneath you, and the failure may have made you believe that your story had reached its end. But I am the Father who speaks after sorrow has spoken. I am the Redeemer who enters the place of ruins. I am the one who can write mercy where pain tried to write destruction. Do not let the broken chapter convince you that the whole book is finished. There was a moment when something inside you changed. A word pierced you. A person left. A door closed. A sickness arrived. A dream collapsed. A mistake became heavier than you knew how to carry. You may have looked at the pieces and thought, "This is where my life falls apart." Yet I saw beyond that moment. I saw not only the breaking, but the rebuilding I would begin. I saw not only the tears, but the testimony that could one day rise from them. I saw not only the wound, but the grace that would meet you there. Pain often speaks as if it has authority. It says, "This is who you are now." It says, "You will never recover." It says, "You are damaged beyond repair." It says, "No one will understand you." It says, "God has forgotten you." My child, do not receive those sentences as truth. Pain can tell you what happened, but it cannot tell you what I will do next. Pain can describe the wound, but it cannot define the destiny. Pain can mark a season, but it cannot command the future that belongs to me. Maybe rejection broke something in you. Someone's absence may have felt like a verdict against your worth. Someone's silence may have made you question whether you were easy to abandon. Someone's cruelty may have made your heart shrink back from love. But rejection from people is not rejection from me. Their inability to value you does not lower the value I placed upon you. Their leaving does not erase my staying. Their coldness does not change my tenderness. I still call you beloved. And my voice is stronger than the door that closed behind them. Perhaps failure broke your confidence. You tried, and the result was not what you hoped. You promised, and you fell short. You began again, and weakness met you on the road. Shame may have told you that you are not trustworthy, not capable, not worthy of another chance. But failure is not the final word when repentance and grace are still available. I can teach through what humbled you. I can restore what shame tried to bury. I can turn the place where you fell into the place where you learned to walk more wisely with me. Loss may have broken your sense of safety. Something precious left your hands, and the world no longer felt the same. A person, a season, a dream, a home, a relationship, a health condition, a future you imagined. When it changed, grief entered deeply. I do not minimize the pain of losing what mattered to you. I do not ask you to pretend that emptiness does not hurt. Yet I tell you gently, loss can be real without becoming Lord. Grief can be deep without becoming your permanent home. I can meet you in what is missing and still lead you toward what is living. At times, poverty and lack may have tried to break your dignity. You looked at what you did not have, what you could not provide, what you could not fix, and shame whispered that you were less than others. My child, lack has no right to name you. Your value is not written in money, possessions, appearance, status, or the comfort the world applauds. I see the courage it takes to keep going with limited resources. I see the prayers hidden inside practical fear. I see the dignity that remains even when your hands feel empty. What you lack does not define who you are before me. Illness may have broken your strength, but it has not broken my love for you. When the body becomes weak, the heart can feel frightened. Pain can make the day long. Fatigue can make hope feel distant. Medical uncertainty can make the future feel unstable. Yet your body's weakness does not make your life worthless. Your limitations do not make you forgotten. I am near to the suffering body and the anxious mind. I can bring peace into pain, courage into weakness, and grace into the slow places of healing. Depression may have tried to break your hope. It may have made ordinary tasks feel heavy, joy feel far away, prayer feel difficult, and tomorrow feel like a burden instead of a gift. I do not condemn you for that darkness. I do not call you faithless because your emotions feel clouded. I see the battle beneath the surface. I see the effort no one applauds. I see the courage it takes to continue when your heart feels tired of continuing. The heaviness you feel is not your identity. The darkness you are walking through is not the final word while my light is still reaching for you. Do not let shame become the narrator of your story. Shame will take one wound and make it your name. It will take one season and call it your whole life. It will take one fall and call it your destiny. It will take what happened to you and twist it into what is wrong with you. My child, reject that false voice. I do not speak to you as shame speaks. I speak with truth and mercy. I correct to restore. I expose to heal. I call you out of darkness not to humiliate you, but to bring you home. What broke you may have changed how you see yourself. You may have become more guarded, more silent, more afraid to hope, more easily wounded by small things. You may have learned to expect disappointment before love has a chance to reach you. I understand why your heart adapted that way. Pain teaches the soul to survive, but survival is not the same as healing. I do not want you only to survive what happened. I want to restore the places that learn to live in fear. A testimony is born when the final word belongs not to the wound, but to my grace. If betrayal had the final word, your story would end in bitterness. If failure had the final word, your story would end in shame. If illness had the final word, your story would end in despair. If poverty had the final word, your story would end in humiliation. If depression had the final word, your story would end in darkness. But I am speaking another word: mercy, restoration, strength, peace, purpose, and life. There is power in saying, "This hurt me, but it will not own me." There is courage in saying, "I was wounded, but I am still loved." There is faith in saying, "I do not understand everything, but I will not call this the end." You do not need to deny the pain in order to resist its authority. You can tell the truth about what happened and still refuse to let it sit on the throne of your soul. Truth and hope can stand together when they stand in my presence. Remember, my child, I have never needed perfect circumstances to reveal my power. I can bring beauty from ashes, wisdom from mistakes, compassion from suffering, courage from fear, and testimony from tears. I can take the place that once embarrassed you and make it a place of humility. I can take the memory that once silenced you and use it to speak comfort in the right season. I can take the wound that once isolated you and use it to connect you with another soul who needs to know they are not alone. Do not rush to decide what your pain means while you are still bleeding. A wound can distort interpretation. In the middle of suffering, you may think, God is absent. In the middle of loss, you may think, nothing good can remain. In the middle of shame, you may think, I am beyond repair. But suffering is not always a faithful interpreter. Bring your interpretation to me. Let me teach your heart what is true. Let me show you that what felt like an ending may become the beginning of a deeper work of grace. Slowly, I am teaching you to separate the event from your identity. What happened was painful, but it is not the whole of you. What they said was cruel, but it is not the voice that names you. What you lost was precious, but it is not the end of my provision. What you did was wrong, but repentance opens a road back to mercy. What you suffered was real, but my redemption is also real. Let me untangle you from the lie that your wound and your worth are the same thing. Some people may only remember the broken version of you. They may speak of your lowest season, your visible weakness, your mistake, your poverty, your tears, your silence, or your struggle. But I remember the whole story. I remember the nights you prayed. I remember the battles you fought in secret. I remember the times you chose not to give up. I remember the small acts of faith no one else saw. I remember the tenderness that remained in you even after pain tried to make you hard. You do not have to prove your restoration to everyone who misunderstood your breaking. Some people will not know how to honor the work I am doing in you. Some will keep seeing you through the lens of who you were in your most painful season. Do not live chained to their limited vision. Walk humbly, but walk free. Let my voice matter more than the opinions of those who only know a fragment of your journey. I know how to vindicate quietly. I know how to raise you without making your heart proud. When the old wound tries to speak again, answer it with my truth. Say, you hurt me, but you are not my Lord. Say, you changed me, but you will not define me. Say, you marked a chapter, but you do not own the ending. Say, my Father is still writing. These words are not denial. They are resistance against despair. They are the language of a soul learning that the final word belongs to the one who redeems. My beloved child, I am not asking you to celebrate what broke you. Evil is still evil. Betrayal is still betrayal. Loss is still loss. Sin is still sin. Pain is still pain. I am not asking you to call darkness light. I am asking you to believe that darkness cannot overcome my light. I am asking you to trust that I can enter what was meant for harm and bring forth something that bears witness to my mercy. I am asking you to let me have the last word. There will come a time when you realize you are not only the person who suffered, you are also the person who was carried. You are not only the person who cried, you are also the person whose tears were seen. You are not only the person who fell, you are also the person who was lifted. You are not only the person who was wounded, you are also the person being healed. This shift will not always happen all at once, but it will happen as my truth takes root in you. Let this prayer rise from the part of you that still fears the wound has won. Father, what broke me will not have the final word. Speak your mercy over my pain. Speak your truth over my shame. Speak your hope over my loss. Speak your strength over my weakness. Teach me to see my story through your eyes. Do not let the wound define me. Let your grace redeem me, restore me, and prepare a testimony that points back to your love. Remain with that prayer for a moment. Let it challenge the lie that your pain is the end. Let it stand in the room where despair has been speaking. Let it touch the memory that still feels powerful. Let it remind your soul that my voice is not finished. When you pray this way, you are not pretending the wound did not matter. You are placing the wound beneath my authority. Soon, you will begin to see signs that the final word is changing. You may notice that the memory still hurts, but it no longer steals your breath the same way. You may notice that shame speaks, but mercy answers sooner. You may notice that fear returns, but you do not obey it as quickly. You may notice that compassion grows where bitterness once ruled. You may notice that another person's pain moves you deeply because you know what it means to suffer. These are signs that testimony is being formed. My child, the enemy wanted your pain to silence you, but I can turn it into a voice of hope. He wanted your wound to isolate you, but I can make it a bridge of compassion. He wanted your failure to bury you, but I can make your restoration a witness of mercy. He wanted your tears to drown your faith, but I can make them water the roots of endurance. What was meant to crush you can become, in my hands, a place where my power is revealed. Do not surrender the ending to the thing that broke you. Do not let rejection write the last line. Do not let shame close the book. Do not let illness name the future. Do not let poverty decide your dignity. Do not let depression declare that morning will never come. Do not let failure convince you that mercy has run out. I am still speaking. I am still healing. I am still restoring. I am still writing grace into places you thought were ruined. Walk forward with this truth hidden in your heart. The wound is not the author. The loss is not the author. The betrayal is not the author. The failure is not the author. I am the author and redeemer of your story. What broke you may be part of the testimony, but it will not be the final word. My mercy will speak after it. My grace will rise through it. My love will outlast it. And when the time comes, your life will testify that the Father was faithful even in the place where everything once seemed broken. My beloved child, I am healing you in the secret place, where no crowd is watching, where no applause is heard, where no one can measure how much courage it takes for you to keep coming back to me. The world often notices only the visible outcome, the smile after the storm, the testimony after the tears, the strength after the healing has begun. But I see the hidden room where the real work is taking place. I see the quiet prayers. I see the trembling surrender. I see the moments when you choose trust even though your heart still aches. Deep within you, I am touching places that people cannot reach. Some wounds are too delicate to be healed in noise. Some fears are too tangled to be untied in public. Some memories need the gentle light of my presence before they can be spoken aloud. That is why I often begin in secret. I enter the hidden chambers of your soul, not to expose you with shame, but to restore you with mercy. I do not rush into your brokenness with harsh hands. I come as the Father who knows how to heal without crushing what is fragile. There are parts of you that learn to survive by hiding. You hid your tears because you feared judgment. You hid your weakness because others needed you to be strong. You hid your disappointment because you did not want to sound ungrateful. You hid your anger because you were afraid it made you unworthy of my love. You hid your shame because you thought if anyone saw the whole truth, they would walk away. My child, I see what has been hidden, and I do not walk away. I stay. And I begin to heal there. Sometimes healing feels slow because I am working deeper than the surface. You may want immediate relief from the pain, and I understand that longing. But I am not only calming the symptom, I am touching the root. I am not only drying the tears, I am healing the wound that produced them. I am not only quieting the fear, I am restoring the trust that fear broke. I am not only helping you survive the day, I am rebuilding the inner foundation on which your future testimony will stand. In the secret place, I am teaching you to be honest without fear. You do not need to impress me with words that sound strong. You do not need to pray as though nothing hurts. You do not need to cover your confusion with religious phrases. Bring me the truth beneath the truth. Tell me not only that you are tired, but why your soul feels tired. Tell me not only that you are afraid, but what fear has been whispering. Tell me not only that you failed, but what shame has been saying since the fall. I already know, but when you bring it to me, healing begins to breathe. Gently, I am separating my voice from the voices that wounded you. Some people spoke harshly, and their words became an inner echo. Some people rejected you, and their absence became a false prophecy. Some people judged you by one season, and their judgment became a burden you carried too long. In the secret place, I speak again and again until my truth becomes clearer than their cruelty. I call you beloved where they made you feel unwanted. I call you forgiven where shame called you ruined. I call you held where fear called you abandoned. Many times, you thought nothing was changing because no one could see the healing. But hidden healing is still healing. A root growing underground is not wasted because it is unseen. A wound closing beneath a bandage is not meaningless because others cannot watch it happen. A heart learning to trust again may look the same on the outside, yet heaven knows that a miracle is forming within. Do not despise the quiet work. What I do in secret often becomes the strength that carries you in public. There is a sacred work happening when you choose not to answer pain with bitterness. The old wound may invite you to harden, to accuse, to repay, to close your heart forever. Yet, in the hidden place, I am teaching you another way. I am not asking you to deny what happened. I am not asking you to call evil good. I am teaching you how to release poison without surrendering wisdom. I am teaching you how to forgive without becoming unsafe. I am teaching you how to remain tender without becoming easily destroyed. At moments, you may feel as if you are only surviving, but I see formation. When you wake up and pray even briefly, I see formation. When you resist a lie that once controlled you, I see formation. When you ask for help instead of drowning silently, I see formation. When you confess sin instead of hiding in shame, I see formation. When you breathe through fear and take one faithful step, I see formation. These hidden victories may seem small to you, but they are stones in the foundation of your testimony. Do not compare your healing process to another person's visible breakthrough. You do not know the secret place where I met them. You do not know the tears that came before their song. You do not know the nights that shaped their faith. In the same way, others may not understand what I am doing in you now. Let that be all right. You do not need everyone to witness the process for the process to be holy. It is enough that I see, I know, and I am working. Quietly, I am restoring your ability to receive love. Pain may have trained you to doubt kindness, to suspect tenderness, to fear closeness, to expect abandonment before anyone has even left. In secret, I am showing your heart that love does not always harm. I begin with my own love because my love is safe, patient, steady, and pure. As you rest in me, the guarded places in you will slowly learn that they do not have to live forever under suspicion. Healing will make you wise, not cold. I am also healing the way you remember. The memory may still exist, but its power can change. What once made you collapse may one day make you pray. What once filled you with shame may one day remind you of mercy. What once made you feel abandoned may one day become a place where you testify, "The Father was with me even there." I do not always erase the past, but I redeem it. I enter it with truth until it no longer has the authority to define your future. Within the hidden chambers of your heart, I am purifying your desires. Pain can make the soul crave quick relief at any cost. Wounds can make false comfort look attractive. Fear can make control feel like safety. Loneliness can make unhealthy attachment feel like love. In the secret place, I teach you to desire what leads to life. I help you recognize the difference between peace and numbness, between love and dependence, between wisdom and fear, between blessing and escape. There are prayers you have spoken that no one heard but me. Short prayers, broken prayers, angry prayers, silent prayers, prayers that sounded like please, prayers that came with tears instead of sentences. My child, I received them all. I did not require perfect language before beginning my work. I knew the meaning beneath every breath. In the secret place, your weakest prayer can become the doorway through which my strength enters. Sometimes I heal by comforting you, and sometimes I heal by correcting you. Both come from love. If a lie has become familiar, I will challenge it. If bitterness has become a shelter, I will call you out of it. If shame has become an identity, I will speak truth against it. If fear has become a ruler, I will remind you that it has no throne in a heart that belongs to me. My correction is not rejection. It is the hand of a father removing what would keep hurting his child. Slowly, I am teaching you to stop running from silence. Silence may have once felt dangerous because it allowed old pain to speak, but in my presence, silence can become a place of healing. It can become the room where you finally hear my love without distraction. It can become the place where your soul stops performing and simply rests. It can become the sacred ground where you learn that you are loved even when you produce nothing, explain nothing, prove nothing, and hide nothing. My child, the testimony I am forming in you will have roots. A testimony without roots can be shaken by the next storm, but a testimony formed in secret, through prayer, surrender, repentance, endurance, and trust, becomes strong. It does not depend on emotion alone. It does not depend on human applause. It stands because it has met me in the dark and found me faithful. Let me deepen the roots before the fruit is displayed. Do not be afraid of the hidden season. Hidden does not mean forgotten. Hidden does not mean useless. Hidden does not mean delayed without purpose. A treasure is often hidden while it is being protected. A seed is hidden while it is being prepared to grow. A child in the womb is hidden while life is being formed. You may feel unseen by people, but you are not unseen by me. I am guarding what I am growing in you. When old pain rises during this process, do not call the healing false. Sometimes a wound aches because deeper layers are coming into the light. Sometimes a memory returns because I am ready to touch it with mercy in a new way. Sometimes tears come again because your heart is finally safe enough to release what it buried long ago. The return of pain does not mean you are back where you started. It may mean you are ready for deeper healing. Let me speak peace over the secret battles no one knows. Peace over the anxious thoughts you hide. Peace over the temptation you fight in silence. Peace over the grief you cannot easily explain. Peace over the shame you have carried too long. Peace over the exhaustion that makes you wonder whether you will ever feel whole. I am not only present in public worship and visible victories. I am present in the hidden struggle where a soul whispers, "Father, help me," and chooses to remain close. Now bring me the part of your story you are afraid to let me touch. Bring me the memory you avoid. Bring me the name that still hurts. Bring me the season that changed you. Bring me the sin that still makes you ashamed. Bring me the disappointment that made your prayers become quieter. Place it before me and say, "Father, heal me here too. I will not force you to rush. I will walk with you into the room, and I will bring light with me." In this secret place, I am forming compassion. One day, you will recognize pain in another person that others overlook. You will speak gently because you know what harshness does to a wounded heart. You will listen patiently because you know how painful it is to be dismissed. You will encourage sincerely because you know how much one word of hope can matter. Your testimony will not be cold information. It will carry the warmth of a heart that has been healed by mercy. I am shaping humility within you as well. Pain surrendered to me can free you from pride. It can teach you not to judge another person's tears too quickly. It can remind you that strength is a gift, not a trophy. It can make your heart more dependent on grace and less impressed with appearance. This humility will protect your testimony. When the day comes for you to speak of what I have done, you will not boast in yourself. You will point to my mercy. Let this prayer rise from the hidden place in you. Father, heal me in the secret place. Touch the wounds no one sees. Speak truth where lies have lived. Restore trust where fear has ruled. Purify my desires where pain has confused them. Give me patience for the process, courage for the memories, humility for the testimony, and peace while the work is still unseen. Remain with that prayer for a moment. Let it settle into the inner room where you often feel alone. Let it remind you that secret healing is not wasted healing. Let it give dignity to the slow work I am doing. When you pray this way, you are allowing me to build strength beneath the surface before anyone else sees the fruit. You are saying yes to restoration that is deeper than appearance. My beloved child, I am healing you where the wound began to speak. I am healing you where shame wrote its false name. I am healing you where fear built its walls. I am healing you where sorrow became familiar. I am healing you where you stopped expecting kindness. This work may be hidden now, but it will not remain without fruit. In time, what I heal in secret will strengthen you in the open. So do not abandon the secret place. Return to prayer. Return to honesty. Return to my word. Return to mercy when you fall. Return to peace when fear rises. Return to trust when waiting feels long. I will meet you there again and again. The testimony is being formed not only in the moment you are delivered, but in every hidden moment where you let me heal you. What I am doing in secret will one day become a witness of grace, and your life will say with quiet power, "The Father was faithful even when no one else could see the work." My beloved child, your pain will become light for someone else when it is placed in my hands. The sorrow that once made you feel alone can become the very place where another wounded soul discovers that they are not alone. The tears you thought no one saw can become a language of compassion. The valley you never wanted to walk through can become a path of hope for someone who is just entering their own darkness. I do not waste what is surrendered to me. I do not throw away the broken pieces you bring with trembling hands. I gather them, bless them, heal them, and in my time, I use them to shine mercy into another life. There are people who will one day need the comfort that is being formed in you now. They will not need empty advice. They will not need proud words from someone who has never trembled. They will need the voice of someone who can say, with humility and truth, "I know what it is to hurt, but I also know that the Father does not abandon the hurting." They will need a witness whose compassion was not learned from distance, but from tears. They will need someone who can sit beside them without rushing their grief, because you have learned how sacred it is when love stays near the wounded. Perhaps you wonder how something so painful could ever help anyone. You may look at your wound and see only damage. You may look at your past and see only regret. You may look at your tears and see only weakness. But I see what grace can do. I can turn suffering into tenderness, failure into wisdom, rejection into deeper sensitivity, poverty into compassion for those who struggle, illness into patience for the fragile, loneliness into understanding for the unseen, and depression into mercy for those who fight invisible battles. What once felt like darkness can become a lamp when my love passes through it. Do not think that becoming light for someone else means your pain was good in itself. Evil is not good. Betrayal is not good. Cruelty is not good. Sickness, shame, abandonment, and despair are not good. I do not ask you to call the wound a blessing. I ask you to trust that my mercy is greater than the wound. I ask you to believe that what was meant to break you does not have to remain barren. In my hands, even the place where you were hurt can become ground where compassion grows. One day, Someone may sit where you once sat, with tired eyes and a heart full of questions. They may feel ashamed of their tears. They may believe no one understands the heaviness inside them. They may think their faith is too weak because they are afraid. In that moment, the comfort I am forming in you will matter. You will not need to pretend you have all the answers. Your presence, your gentleness, your honest testimony of my mercy may become a small window through which they see that hope is still possible. Sometimes the greatest light you offer will not be a speech. It will be patience. It will be listening without judgment. It will be praying quietly for someone who cannot pray for themselves. It will be refusing to shame a person for being broken. It will be speaking one sentence of truth when their mind is filled with lies. It will be staying tender in a world that often becomes harsh toward pain. The light I place in you may shine through simple acts that others overlook. But heaven sees them clearly. Consider how your own suffering has taught you to notice what others miss. Before pain touched you, perhaps you passed by certain wounds without understanding them. Now you recognize the silence of someone who is holding back tears. You notice the forced smile. You hear the exhaustion behind the words, "I am okay." You understand how poverty can weigh on dignity, how illness can frighten the soul, how loneliness can exist in a crowded room, how shame can make a person hide from love. This understanding is not small. It is a holy tenderness being shaped by grace. Pain surrendered to me can make your heart deeper, not harder. The world often teaches wounded people to protect themselves by becoming cold, suspicious, and closed. But I am healing you in another way. I am making you wise without making you cruel. I am making you discerning without making you bitter. I am teaching you boundaries without removing compassion. I am strengthening you without destroying your softness. A heart healed by me does not become stone. It becomes a lamp that can burn without being consumed by every storm. There will be times when you meet someone who is carrying the same kind of burden you once carried. Their words may awaken memories in you. Their pain may remind you of your own valley. Do not be afraid of that moment. Let wisdom guide you, but do not close your heart. You do not need to relive your suffering to comfort them. You do not need to bleed again in order to be compassionate. You can stand beside them with the steadiness that comes from knowing I carried you through. And you can point them gently toward the same mercy. My child, your testimony will not be powerful because you appear perfect. It will be powerful because it is true. People are not always healed by polished stories that hide every tear. Many hurting souls need to know that grace can meet them in unfinished places. They need to know that faith can tremble and still be real. They need to know that healing can be slow and still be holy. They need to know that God can work in silence, in waiting, in weakness, in repentance. In the hidden room where no one applauds, your honest witness can give them courage to stay close to me. Do not despise the scars that remain after healing has begun. A scar can tell a story without reopening the wound. It can say, I was hurt, but I was not abandoned. It can say, I fell, but mercy lifted me. It can say, I thought the darkness would finish me, but the Father remained near. When the time is right, your scars will not glorify the pain. They will glorify my faithfulness. They will show that the wound did not have the final word, because my grace spoke after it. Maybe you fear that sharing any part of your story will make people judge you. That fear is understandable. Not every person is safe, and not every moment is the right moment. I am not asking you to expose sacred wounds carelessly. I am not asking you to give your story to those who will trample it. I will teach you when to speak, how much to speak, and to whom you should speak. Testimony does not require reckless openness. It requires humble obedience, wisdom, and love. In the right season, your story may become medicine for someone else's despair. A person who feels trapped in shame may hear how I forgave you and begin to believe mercy is still possible. A person who feels crushed by poverty may hear how I sustained you and take one more step. A person fighting sickness may hear how I gave you courage and breathe with hope. A lonely person may hear how I saw you in silence and realize they are seen too. A soul wounded by betrayal may hear how I healed your trust slowly and believe that their own heart can live again. There is a light that comes only from compassion. It does not shout. It does not condemn. It does not pretend to know everything. It enters gently and says, "You are not alone in this." That kind of light is being formed in you. Every tear brought to me, every prayer whispered in weakness, every act of forgiveness, every surrender of bitterness, every return after failure, every choice to keep loving without losing wisdom, these are shaping a light that can guide someone else through a night you once knew too well. Do not allow shame to convince you that your story is too messy to be useful. Many of my most powerful testimonies rise from lives that looked broken beyond repair. A clean-looking story may impress people, but a redeemed story can awaken hope. I do not need you to hide the mercy I have shown you. I do not need you to pretend you are never fragile. I need your heart to remain humble, grateful, and willing. The testimony is not about how strong you were. It is about how faithful I have been. At times, you may still feel unready to become light for anyone else. That is all right. I am not rushing you. Healing comes before healthy testimony. Roots grow before branches bear fruit. A lamp must be filled before it can burn steadily. Let me continue to restore you. Let me teach you truth. Let me strengthen your inner life. Let me give you wisdom and discernment. The purpose of your pain is not to make you perform for others before you are healed. The purpose is redemption. And redemption includes your own restoration. Still, even while you are healing, small rays of light can already shine. A gentle word, a prayer, a quiet act of kindness, a refusal to judge someone else's tears, a moment of honesty when someone thinks they are the only one struggling. You do not have to be fully healed to be kind. You do not have to have every answer to offer compassion. You do not have to stand on a stage to become a sign of my mercy. Sometimes the brightest witness is a wounded soul choosing love with wisdom. Your pain can teach you how to pray for others with depth. Before, you may have prayed quickly, from a distance. Now you know how heavy some burdens feel. You know how long a night can become. You know how desperate the soul can be when hope feels thin. This knowledge can make your prayers tender and powerful. When you intercede for another wounded child, you will not do it casually. You will bring them before me with the compassion of someone who understands the cost of suffering. Let the suffering you endured make you more merciful, not more judgmental. When you see someone stumbling, remember how much mercy you needed. When you hear someone speak from pain, remember how pain once confused your own words. When someone heals slowly, remember that your own healing required patience. When another person's faith trembles, remember that I did not abandon you when yours trembled. This is how your pain becomes light. It teaches you to carry mercy into places where condemnation would only deepen the wound. I am not only healing you from what happened, I am preparing you to become a witness of hope. Your life will say that pain can be transformed. Your endurance will say that tears are not wasted. Your compassion will say that wounds can become places of ministry. Your peace will say that the Father can steady a heart after storms. Your humility will say that grace, not pride, restored you. Your courage will say that the darkness did not win. Now bring me the part of your pain you still think has no purpose. Bring me the memory that feels useless, the tear that feels forgotten, the season that feels wasted, the weakness that feels embarrassing. Place it in my hands, and let me breathe meaning into what despair called meaningless. I may not reveal everything at once, but I will show you, step by step, that nothing surrendered to me is beyond redemption. Let this prayer rise within you. Father, turn my pain into light for someone else. Heal me deeply, so I do not speak from bitterness, but from mercy. Give me wisdom to know when to share and when to remain silent. Use my tears to make me compassionate, my weakness to make me humble, my healing to give others hope, and my testimony to point back to your faithfulness. Let what once wounded me become, in your hands, a witness of grace. Remain with that prayer for a moment. Let it soften the fear that your pain was meaningless. Let it touch the place where shame told you to stay silent forever. Let it open your heart to the possibility that one day, the very story you wanted to hide may help someone else find courage to pray. I will not force you before the time is right. I will prepare you gently. I will guide you wisely. I will teach you how to carry your testimony with humility. Beloved child, your pain will not become light because pain itself is holy. It will become light because my mercy enters it. Your tears will not help others because tears are beautiful in themselves. They will help because I redeem them and turn them into compassion. Your scars will not speak because wounds are glorious. They will speak because my grace has touched them and shown that healing is possible. The glory belongs to me, but the comfort will pass through your restored heart. So do not surrender to the lie that everything you endured was empty. Do not believe that the valley produced nothing. Do not think that the secret healing is only for you, though I love you enough to heal you for your own sake. I am also preparing a light that can reach beyond you. In my time, through your gentleness, your prayers, your humility, your wisdom, and your testimony, another soul will see hope because my grace was faithful in you. Walk forward, my child, with quiet expectation. I am not wasting the sorrow. I am not wasting the tears. I am not wasting the years of struggle. I am not wasting the hidden prayers. I am turning what you surrendered into compassion, and compassion into light. One day, someone standing in darkness may find courage because your life quietly says, "The Father carried me, and He can carry you too." That is how pain becomes testimony. That is how wounds become lamps. That is how my mercy shines through what once was broken. My beloved child, do not hide the story I am redeeming in you. Do not bury it forever beneath shame, fear, or the belief that your wounds make you unworthy to speak. I know the chapters you wish had never happened. I know the moments you would rather erase. I know the memories that still make your heart lower its eyes. Yet I also know what my mercy is doing with them. What you have tried to cover because it felt broken, I am touching with grace. What you have called too painful to mention, I am slowly turning into a testimony of my faithfulness. There was a time when hiding helped you survive. You hid your tears because people were not gentle with them. You hid your weakness because you feared being judged. You hid your failure because shame told you no one would understand. You hid your pain because explaining it felt too exhausting. I do not condemn the frightened heart that learned to hide. I see why you built those walls. I know the wound behind every silence. But my child, survival is not the same as freedom. And I am leading you toward freedom. Slowly, I am teaching you that your story is not something shame owns. Shame wants to keep every redeemed chapter locked away in darkness. It tells you, if people know what happened, they will reject you. It tells you, if anyone sees your weakness, they will never respect you. It tells you, your pain is embarrassing. Your past is too messy. Your healing is too slow. But shame is a liar. I do not redeem a life so that shame can keep ruling it. I do not heal a wound so that fear can keep calling it cursed. Remember, your testimony is not about glorifying your pain. It is not about returning to old wounds for attention. It is not about exposing sacred parts of your heart to careless people. A testimony is the humble telling of what my mercy has done. It says, I was wounded, but God did not leave me. It says, I was ashamed, but mercy found me. It says, I was weak, but grace carried me. It says, I thought the darkness had the final word, but the Father was still writing. Perhaps you are afraid that if you speak of what I have done, people will only see what broke you, but those with eyes of grace will also see what I restored. They will see that you are not boasting in the wound, but in the healer. They will see that you are not celebrating the valley, but the one who carried you through it. They will see that you are not asking for pity, but offering hope. And even if some misunderstand, I will still know the truth of your heart. Do not share before the time is right, and do not share with those who are not safe. I am not asking you to hand your deepest pain to every ear that is curious. Wisdom matters. Timing matters. Discernment matters. Some stories must first be healed in my presence before they are spoken in public. Some details belong only between you and me. Some wounds need a trusted person, not a crowd. I will teach you what to reveal, what to keep, when to speak, and when silence is still holy. There is a difference between hiding from shame and waiting in wisdom. Hiding from shame says, this story proves I am worthless. Waiting in wisdom says, this story is sacred, and God will show me how to carry it. Hiding from shame locks the door and calls the wound cursed. Waiting in wisdom places the key in my hands and trusts me to open the right door at the right time. I do not rush you into exposure. I prepare you for testimony. At the right time, your honesty can become a lamp. Someone else may be sitting in the same kind of darkness that once surrounded you. They may believe they are the only one who has failed, the only one who has cried this way, the only one who has felt abandoned, the only one who has struggled with depression, poverty, illness, betrayal, regret, or fear. When they hear that my grace met you in a place like theirs, hope may rise in them. They may whisper, then maybe God can meet me too. Your story does not need to be perfect to be powerful. Many people wait to speak until every wound has vanished, every question has been answered, every emotion has become calm, and every detail looks beautiful. But I can use a testimony that is still humble, still tender, still healing, still dependent on me. You do not have to pretend that the journey was easy. You do not have to remove the tears from the story. You only need to tell it in a way that points back to my mercy. When I redeem a story, I do not always erase the scar. Sometimes the scar remains as a witness that the wound did not win. A scar can say, I was hurt, but I was healed. It can say, I was broken, but I was not abandoned. It can say, I thought I would never rise again, but grace lifted me. Do not be ashamed of the evidence that you survived by my help. Let the scar become a sign of my faithfulness, not a chain of your humiliation. Maybe your past includes choices you regret deeply. You may fear that speaking of mercy will make people remember your sin more than my forgiveness. Yet my grace is not weakened by the truth. When repentance is real, when humility is present, when restoration is being formed, even a painful past can become a testimony that mercy is greater than failure. I do not ask you to minimize sin. I ask you to magnify grace. I do not ask you to excuse darkness. I ask you to show that my light can lead a soul out of it. There are stories of suffering you did not choose: betrayal, abandonment, cruelty, illness, poverty, loss, rejection, and injustice may have entered your life through no desire of your own. Do not let the shame of what others did become a prison around your voice. What happened to you is not proof that you are dirty, unwanted, or ruined. Their wrong does not become your identity. My redemption can speak even there. Your testimony can declare that what was done in darkness is not stronger than the mercy that brings healing into the light. Gently, I am removing the fear that your story is too small to matter. You may think, others have suffered more. Others have greater miracles. Others have more dramatic testimonies. My child, do not measure the worth of your story by spectacle. A quiet healing is still holy. A small act of mercy is still grace. A soul kept alive through a difficult season is still a miracle. A heart learning to pray again after pain is still a testimony. Heaven does not despise what seems small to the world. At times, the most powerful testimony is not spoken on a stage. It is spoken through the way you live. It is seen when you choose peace where fear once ruled. It is seen when you forgive without becoming unsafe. It is seen when you keep praying after seasons of silence. It is seen when you treat a wounded person gently because you know what wounds feel like. It is seen when you no longer hide in shame, but walk humbly in mercy. Your life can preach before your mouth ever speaks. Do not confuse humility with hiding. Humility says, God carried me. Hiding says, I am too ashamed to be seen. Humility says, the glory belongs to the Father. Hiding says, the wound still owns me. Humility is beautiful because it remembers who did the healing. Hiding can become bondage when it keeps you silent about the mercy that set you free. Let me teach you the difference, so your testimony rises from grace, not pride, and from freedom, not fear. If you speak one day, speak with compassion. Do not use your testimony to stand above another person who is still struggling. Do not say, I overcame, so you should be fine by now. Remember how patient I have been with you. Remember how slowly healing came in some places. Remember how many times you needed comfort again. Let your story become a hand extended, not a stone thrown. Let your words make room for the hurting, not pressure them to pretend. A redeemed story must remain connected to love. Without love, testimony becomes noise. Without humility, it becomes pride. Without wisdom, it can wound the one who speaks and the one who listens. But when my Spirit guides it, your story becomes a vessel. It carries mercy. It carries courage. It carries the fragrance of hope. It tells others that I am still near to the brokenhearted, still forgiving the repentant, still strengthening the weak, and still turning pain into witness. Sometimes you will feel the urge to hide again after you have begun to heal. Old shame may return and say, be quiet. Do not let anyone know. Pretend you were never broken. When that voice comes, bring it to me. Ask whether the silence is wisdom or fear. Ask whether the story is being protected or imprisoned. Ask whether I am asking you to wait, or whether shame is asking you to disappear. I will guide the heart that sincerely seeks my will. There may also be people who are not ready to honor your testimony. Some may judge, some may minimize, some may use your vulnerability carelessly. Their response does not decide the value of what I have done in you. A pearl is still a pearl, even if someone fails to recognize its worth. If I ask you to speak, speak for the one who needs hope, not for the approval of those who misunderstand grace. If I ask you to remain silent for a season, do so in peace, not in shame. My child, the story I am redeeming belongs first to my love. It is not entertainment. It is not a performance. It is not a weapon. It is not a prison. It is a sacred witness of mercy. Carry it carefully. Let me continue healing the parts that still ache. Let me continue teaching you how to speak without reopening wounds unnecessarily. Let me continue forming the wisdom to know which details serve hope and which details belong quietly in my hands. One day, you may look at a person sitting in despair and realize why I kept you close through your own valley. You will recognize the shadow in their eyes. You will hear the ache beneath their words. You will know not to rush them. You will know how to say, I cannot explain everything, but I know God can stay with you in this. In that moment, your redeemed pain will become a doorway for compassion. and your testimony will become light. Do not underestimate the courage it takes to say, "God helped me." In a world that often hides brokenness behind appearances, such words can become powerful. They do not need to be loud. They do not need to be decorated. A simple sentence from a sincere heart can enter another person's darkness like a candle. I was afraid, but He held me. I was ashamed, but He forgave me. I was wounded, but He is healing me. I thought I was alone, but He was near. These words can carry life. The enemy wanted your story to end in silence. He wanted the wound to make you hide forever. He wanted shame to lock the testimony before it could breathe. He wanted pain to become a secret grave where hope was buried. But I am opening what he tried to seal. I am breathing life where despair tried to settle. I am teaching you that redemption does not only rescue you inwardly, it can also become a witness outwardly, in the way and time I choose. Let your story remain honest. Do not exaggerate the pain to make it dramatic. Do not exaggerate the healing to make it impressive. Truth carries enough power when grace is present. Say what is true with humility. Say what I have done with gratitude. Say what is still healing with wisdom. A testimony does not become weaker because it admits the process is still unfolding. It becomes trustworthy because it refuses to pretend. Now bring me the fear you feel about being seen. Bring me the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, the fear of saying too much, the fear of not being understood, the fear that your past will become your name again. Place those fears in my hands. I know how to guard what is sacred. I know how to prepare your voice. I know how to make your testimony serve love instead of shame. Let this prayer rise from your heart. Father, do not let me hide the story you are redeeming. Heal what still aches. Teach me wisdom, timing, humility, and courage. Show me what belongs in silence and what should become testimony. Keep me from shame, pride, and fear. Let my story point to your mercy, not to my pain alone. Use what you have restored in me to bring hope to someone who feels broken. Remain with that prayer for a moment. Let it loosen the place where shame has tightened around your voice. Let it remind you that being redeemed does not mean being untouched by pain. It means my mercy has entered the pain and begun to transform it. Let it help you understand that your story is not worthless because it contains sorrow. It is becoming powerful because my grace is writing through it. My beloved child, do not hide forever what I have healed with love. Do not let the wound keep the glory that belongs to my mercy. Do not let fear bury the comfort another soul may need. Wait when I ask you to wait. Speak when I ask you to speak. Share with wisdom. Remain humble. Stay close to me. Let the testimony rise not from pressure, but from peace. And walk forward knowing that I am still redeeming the story. The pages are not finished. The healing is still unfolding. The testimony is still being shaped. But already, my hand is upon it. Already, the pain is losing its power to silence you. Already, shame is being replaced by mercy. Already, the hidden chapters are being gathered into a witness of grace. Do not hide from what I am doing in you, my child, in my time. Your redeemed story will help someone believe that their story can be redeemed too. My beloved child, rise now, because your testimony is being born, not from comfort alone, not from an easy road, not from a life untouched by sorrow, but from the place where my mercy met you when you thought you could not continue. You have cried, but your tears were not wasted. You have fallen, but your fall did not become your grave. You have waited, but the waiting did not mean I had forgotten you. You have been wounded, but the wound did not cancel my love. Now I am calling you to rise with the quiet strength of one who has been carried by grace. Listen deeply within your soul. A testimony is not always born with noise. Sometimes it begins as a whisper after a long night. Sometimes it begins when a heart that once wanted to give up chooses to pray again. Sometimes it begins when shame loses its power to keep a child hidden. Sometimes it begins when the wounded one finally says, "The pain was real, but God was with me." Do not despise this beginning. Heaven sees what is forming in you, even if the world has not yet recognized it. There was a season when you thought the pain would only break you. You could not imagine that anything good could grow from the ashes. The betrayal felt too cruel, the sickness too heavy, the poverty too humiliating, the depression too dark, the loneliness too deep, the failure too shameful, the loss too final. Yet I was there, gathering what you thought was scattered forever. I was there, holding the pieces you were too tired to hold. I was there, breathing life into places that looked ruined. Now I say to you, rise, not because every question has been answered, but because my presence is enough for the next step. Rise, not because every wound has disappeared, but because healing has begun. Rise, not because the past never happened, but because the past no longer has the right to own you. Rise, not because you are strong in yourself, but because my grace has become strength within you. The testimony being born in you is not the testimony of your perfection. It is the testimony of my faithfulness. Perhaps you still feel fragile. That does not mean the testimony is false. A newborn life is fragile, yet it is real. A small flame is delicate, yet it is still light. A seedling is tender, yet it carries the promise of a tree. In the same way, your renewed hope may feel small, but it is alive. Your courage may tremble, but it is real. Your faith may speak softly, but I hear it. Do not wait until you feel unbreakable before you believe I am restoring you. I am blessing the places where pain once spoke the loudest, where shame said, "Hide." I am speaking mercy. Where fear said, "You will never heal," I am speaking peace. Where rejection said, "You are unwanted," I am speaking belonging. Where failure said, "You are finished," I am speaking restoration. Where sorrow said, "This is the end," I am speaking a new beginning. Let my voice become the voice that remains after every other voice grows tired. A testimony is being formed each time you choose trust over despair. When you surrender the memory again, testimony is being formed. When you pray through tears, testimony is being formed. When you forgive without denying the wound, testimony is being formed. When you ask for help instead of hiding in silence, testimony is being formed. When you return to me after weakness, testimony is being formed. These moments may seem small to you, but they are sacred movements of grace. Do not compare your testimony to another person's story. Some testimonies sound dramatic, sudden, and visible. Others are quiet, patient, and hidden for a long time. Some people are delivered quickly from a storm. Others are strengthened step by step while walking through it. I am not measuring your story by how impressive it appears to others. I am shaping it according to the truth of what your soul needs and the purpose I am preparing. A quiet testimony can carry deep power when it is filled with my mercy. Beloved child, your testimony will not deny the valley. It will not pretend the night was short if the night was long. It will not say the wound was light if the wound was heavy. It will not erase the tears, the questions, the waiting, or the weakness. A true testimony does not lie about suffering. It reveals that suffering did not have the final word. It shows that my hand was present, my grace was sufficient, my love remained, and my mercy kept working when nothing looked finished. There is a courage rising in you that was not there before. It may not feel loud. It may not make you feel powerful in the way the world understands power, but it is holy courage. It is the courage to keep living after sorrow. It is the courage to hope after disappointment. It is the courage to pray after silence. It is the courage to love with wisdom after betrayal. It is the courage to begin again after failure. This courage is not born from pride. It is born from being held by me. Let your scars no longer be only reminders of pain. In my hands, they can become reminders of survival, mercy, and restoration. A scar can say, I was wounded, but I was not abandoned. A scar can say, I walked through darkness, but the Father brought me through. A scar can say, I did not save myself. Grace carried me. Do not worship the scar, but do not despise what I have healed. What once made you ashamed can become a quiet witness that my love is stronger than what hurt you. There will be people who need the testimony being born in you. Someone will need to know that tears are not wasted. Someone will need to know that failure is not final. Someone will need to know that depression is not a name. Poverty is not a worth. Sickness is not abandonment. Betrayal is not the end of love, and shame is not stronger than mercy. When the right time comes, the light I placed in your healed places will help another soul take one more breath of hope. Still, remember that your first calling is not to perform healing for others, but to remain close to me. Stay rooted in my presence. Return to prayer. Guard your peace. Receive rest. Continue healing. Let my word keep shaping your heart. A testimony that flows from communion will give life. A testimony that flows from pressure may become heavy. I will not use you by neglecting you. I restore you because I love you. And from that restored place, I can bless others through you. My beloved child, arise from the ashes without hatred toward the place where you fell. Rise from the valley without denying that it was dark. Rise from shame without pretending you never needed mercy. Rise from fear without condemning yourself for having trembled. Rise from sorrow with the quiet knowledge that I was there. I am here, and I will remain. Your testimony is being born through the grace that met you in the very place you thought would end you. Let this prayer rise now from the depth of your renewed heart. Father, let my testimony be born from your mercy. Turn my pain into compassion, my weakness into dependence on you, my tears into wisdom, my scars into witness, and my restored life into hope for others. Keep me humble. Keep me close. Keep me honest. Do not let me glorify the wound. Let me glorify the healer. Use my story in your time to show that your grace is stronger than darkness. Stay with that prayer for a moment. Let it seal what I have spoken over you. Let it gather the broken pieces into my hands again. Let it remind you that testimony is not the absence of pain, but the presence of redemption. Let it strengthen the part of you that still wonders whether anything good can come from what happened. I tell you again, in my hands, nothing surrendered is wasted. Now stand beneath my blessing. May peace cover the memories that once tormented you. May courage rise where fear once ruled. May mercy silence the accusations of shame. May healing continue in the hidden places. May wisdom guide the words you will one day speak. May compassion flow from your restored heart. May your life become a quiet light for those who are still walking through the valley. Walk forward, my child, not as someone untouched by pain, but as someone held through pain. Not as someone who saved themselves, but as someone rescued by grace. Not as someone who has every answer, but as someone who knows the Father is faithful. The wound did not win. The darkness did not erase you. The tears were not wasted. The story is not over. Your testimony is being born, and when the time is right, your life will declare with holy power that my mercy was stronger than everything that tried to break you.